Hey guys, this is Geethanjali. In this video, we'll be starting with the chapter Evolution and learning about the various theories of origin of life and universe. So one of the most accepted theory for the origin of universe is the Big Bang theory. So this Big Bang theory states that there was a huge explosion of a singularity that created the universe that we know, and this universe has been expanding since then. So, according to NCRT, our universe is about 20 billion years old, but the updated information is that it is 13.8 billion years old actually. Whereas our Earth, which is supposed to be 4.5 billion years old. So one of the first atoms to be found obviously should be hydrogen and helium, right? Because they come first in the periodic table. So after that, many other elements formation took place. Talking about Earth, Earth had no atmosphere back then. But from volcanoes and molten mass, compounds like water vapor, okay, methane, carbon dioxide, ammonia, etc., were released, and they basically form the atmosphere. So UV radiation played a played a huge role. It basically helped in recycling. It broke H2O into hydrogen and oxygen, and it also broke oxygen again to form ozone. So like this ozone layer was also formed. Because of the formation of ozone layer, soon life also started forming. So life appeared, approximately the first signs of life was 4 billion years back. That is just 500 million years after the formation of Earth. So how exactly this life appeared is the question. So one theory, that is the panspermia theory of panspermia, basically states that life came from outer space. So spores were delivered to many planets, galaxies, etc., from space dust, from meteorites. So this theory was actually thought from early Greek philosophers. Coming to theory of special creation, that was given by Father Suez. So this theory basically states that there is a supernatural power which created everything we know, and everything was, all the organisms, the planet, the universe, everything was created as such, okay? And the diversity of all this, like the diversity of the plants, animals, the different kind of organisms we observe, is always same. Okay, in the past, present, future, everything is the same. There is no change in it. And also that this earth is just 4,000 years old. So obviously there is no evidence for all this. So this theory was not accepted by the scientists. So another theory of spontaneous generation, that living organisms arose from non-living matter naturally. So this was actually disproved by many of the scientists. So one famous example is of Louis Pasteur's experiment, that is the swan neck flask experiment. So in this experiment, basically what they disapproved that living things only could arise from pre-existing living things and not from non-living matter naturally. We know that usually when we keep bread for a long time without consuming it, then you see bread mold starts growing, etc. So this obviously, the bread mold, something that living fungus, did not arise from something non-living like the bread. So it actually arose from the spores that were delivered onto the bread, and that would have grown to make bread molds because of the favorable conditions like moisture, etc. So to disprove this, he basically took a flask, a swan neck flask, and he preheated it so that it could be free from microorganisms, and he created a sterile environment. So there were no microorganisms here. After condensation, there was no growth of any sort of microorganisms, etc. But when the glass, this neck is broken, so there is an entry for the outside microorganisms to enter into the flask and hence reproduce inside and create contamination. So he proved that living living things, or life we can say, arises from pre-existing life. That is the one which is already there. Anyways, his theory does not actually prove anything, but just says that life arises from pre-existing life, but the question that where pre-existing life came from still remains. So next is our Haldane and Oparin theory, which is basically the chemical theory. What they proposed is that first form of life, first form of life came from pre-existing non-living organic molecules. Now, what do I mean by pre-existing non-living organic molecules? Those biomolecules which make up our cells, like proteins, okay, saccharides, okay, RNA, DNA, which came later, etc. So obviously these organic molecules, these non-living organic molecules, would have arose from inorganic molecules itself. This theory was not immediately accepted until 1953, where S. L. Miller performed this experiment which is famously called the Miller's experiment. So in this experiment, to depict chemical evolution, that life arose from the pre-existing non-living organic molecules, they had to show that billions of years ago, the conditions on Earth favored the formation of these molecules. So we know that the condition was very opposite to that which is there now. So basically, the Earth's atmosphere was reducing instead of oxidizing as now, and the temperature was extremely high because of the volcanic eruptions, etc. And reducing atmosphere does not contain oxygen, it contains compounds like methane, ammonia, etc. So Miller tried to create such an atmosphere. So he put up a setup where he maintained mostly vacuum and his collection of gases. So he put gases like methane, okay, hydrogen, ammonia, and then water vapor, so that it is similar to the reducing atmosphere, and to create high temperatures. So he was able to create a temperature about 800 degrees Celsius with the help of this electric discharge of about 75 kilovolts. When this discharge happened, he let whatever the products are into a condenser to cool down basically. And this liquid that condensed was collected here and it was examined. So when it was examined, amino acids, fats, sugars, nitrogen bases, and many other biomolecules were observed to form. So this definitely the supported this theory, and this theory was finally considered as a possibility. So the estimated time where these non-cellular forms of life had originated is 3 billion years back. Whereas when these non-cellular made these cellular forms, it was about 2 billion years back. So among all the theories, this chemical evolution was found the most acceptable because it had a supporting evidence and it made a lot of sense.